So Donald Trump predicts a bloodbath in economy and auto industry if he loses election. Now, he claims it's a bloodbath in the economy, but is that what he really said? Or is, again, what he says dog whistles? So let's go ahead and listen to what he says.
Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. No, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes.
I'm sure he's going to be able to do that. I'm sure he's going to be able to get his Congress. I mean, and maybe if he wins, he'd be able to do it. But I mean, he says he's going to be dictator on day one. So if he has a Congress that's willing to go with him, then let him be a dictator. I guess he can do whatever he wants. If not in reality, at least in action, if they just always do what they want him to do and they don't actually act as a check on the power of the presidency, then yeah, sure, he could probably do that if he wanted to. Because if he gets elected president, he will probably have a House and a Senate that supports him. And they'll use the nuclear option to get rid of any possible Democratic opposition, and there'll be no filibuster, and there'll be no way for the Democratic Party in the House or Senate to stop anything that Trump wants to do. Just to give you that little scary thought in your head. But let's continue with Herr Führer's Orange Foolis's words.
Comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
That'll be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. Now, of course, before any Republicans came forward and said, you know, let's see, let's watch.
If this election isn't won, I'm not sure that you'll ever have another election in this country. Does that make sense?
See, and that's the thing. Like as soon as it came out that he said that there was going to be a bloodbath, I was like, you know, he said use those words purposefully, and he's going to be able to rest on the whole. Well, I always said it in the context of giving, of talking about the automobile industry. But you know, when Trump says things, a lot of the times they have multiple meetings to multiple people, and the people who he wants to hear the message, the other message that he wants them to hear it loud and clear. Recall the debates between him and Biden, where he was talking about, you know, this. They urged him or implored him or asked him to tell the Proud Boys to stand down, and he goes, "Stand back and stand by." He didn't say stand down. He said stand back and stand by. Now, maybe at some point he'll say, or he would say, you know, well, that's what I meant. I meant stand down. I didn't mean for him to stand by for any action. But the people who listened, the Proud Boys themselves, were like, we heard you loud and clear. You told us to stand by, and we're standing by. Give us your orders. That's what they heard. That's what they wanted to hear. That's what he wanted them to hear. And if you believe anything else, you're one of the people that Donald Trump called the poorly educated, that he loved. The poorly educated people who Donald Trump loves fall over themselves every day to prove to him that they are poorly educated so that they'll get his love. Simple as that. So if you really believe that he's just talking about automobiles here, I have a bridge in Brooklyn. I have a tower in Manhattan, I'd like to tell you, bearing the name Trump.
I don't think you're going to have another election in this country. If we don't win this election, I don't think you're going to have another election, or certainly not an election that's meaningful. And
if Donald Trump wins, see, every Republican accusation is a confession. He's accusing the other side, i.e. our side, i.e. the good guys, that we're not going to allow any other elections to happen again. In reality, if he doesn't win, what that basically means, that's telling his gunned up, gun nut, QAnon, MAGA-T, Bagoo supporters to get ready for round 2 of January 6th. It's insurrection to election boogaloo. And that's the message that he's telling them. But in reality, also, if he becomes president, the likelihood of us having another election again because he wants to be dictator from day one, and people who are dictator in day one never want to give up power on day two, day four. They get enamored with the power. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and he's absolutely going to take advantage. Even if he's not even if he's not a dictator by name, even if he's still officially president, if he has a Supreme Court and a Congress that are unwilling to take any action against him, he becomes a de facto dictator, just because the other branches of government refuse to do their duty. So
we better get out, or we better. I actually say that the date, remember this, November 5th, I believe it's going to be the most important date in the history of our country.
Well, it's going to be a most important date until you have to, to keep counting, and then it'll go to the 6th and the 7th, because certain states don't allow you to start counting the mail-in votes or the absentee ballots before election time is over. So you have to start counting those once the polls close, and you can't start counting them sooner. Now, some states have changed that, and that's good, because that'll make it more likely to get an answer. But of course, he's going to sit there like, stop the counting, just stop the counting, because you're going to have the situation again in a lot of areas where you have mail-in votes, and Democrats more often than Republicans use mail-in voting in a lot of states, and you're still going to have the situation where he's going to be like, I won, I believe I won, and they need to stop counting votes now to prove that I won. Well, no, if you really won, you'd want them to count every single ballot, and that's it. But Donald Trump doesn't want every single ballot counted. This is why, as a side note, this is why I believe that the Republicans, especially Donald Trump, but all the other Republicans, in the head charge of the GOP, Republicans who are on talk radio, why every single one of them wants paper ballots. They want pure paper ballots with no other trail. And the reason they want that is because if you have paper ballots, it makes it a lot easier to toss ballots away. Oh, we misplaced those ballots, no way to know how they voted. Oh well, too bad for them. That's why you need to have, you should have, I'm all for having a system where you have an electronic voting machine that takes the ballots, but then also having a paper trail that you can verify against each machine. So if you want to audit machines and be like, okay, let's audit this machine, here's the paper printout that was verified by the voter. Hell, you can even have the voter sign the printout. So, okay, you cast your vote, you hit vote, it prints out a receipt, you sign the receipt, and you turn it into the election person before it actually gets counted into the system to show that you have a paper copy now matching another copy, and that goes into a hopper that's right by the voting machine, and then that's that. When you want to audit machines, you can do it easily and quickly at that point. But that's not what they want. They don't want valid elections. They don't want election integrity. They want to count as few votes as possible so that they win. Because Republican wins when you have lower turnout. Republicans win when you have fewer people voting. That's when Republicans win. They don't want a lot of people showing up because big turnout harms Republicans. So they're going to do everything in their power to stop people from turning out.
I believe that.
Anyway, so there's that. There's the Trump comments, and again, I'll repeat it again, just to double down on it. Again, as soon as I heard Trump say it, I knew exactly what the Trump apologists were going to say. They were absolutely going to say that it's just about the auto industry. It's not about anything else. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Gives them enough plausible deniability to be able to say, hey, this is what I really meant. I didn't really mean that it's going to be an actual bloodbath. I meant that it was going to be an economic bloodbath in the auto industry. But that gives them enough leeway for the people to be like, well, yeah, it's just the liberals in the media that are trying to say that it's something that it isn't. And in reality, he's giving the message to the people that he wants to hear the message that he wants a bloodbath. He wants there to be bloodshed if he doesn't win. That's why he did nothing on January 6th for hours while insurrectionist, treasonous a-holes stormed the Capitol, while Ashley Babbitt got shot for being a domestic terrorist Barbie, if you will. He could have saved Ashley Babbitt's life if he would have just taken some action and actually done, but he didn't want to take action. All he wanted to do was eat his hamburgers and throw ketchup against the wall because he was angry, because he just wanted to, he couldn't imagine the fact that he lost to somebody who ran from his basement, which is, pretty sad for somebody to lose to somebody running from their basement, right? Even though he really wasn't really running from his basement, but he was just being responsible during COVID. Biden was, and Trump was not. Trump killed Herman Cain in Tulsa. Not saying it's a huge loss, but I'm just saying, if you liked Herman Cain, Trump's responsible for that too, for holding that big. The only reason more people, here's the thing, the only reason more people didn't die in Tulsa, Oklahoma during Donald Trump's rally is because of TikTok. TikTok, that's probably why the Republicans don't like it. TikTok is responsible for them thinking that this rally was going to be huge, and all these TikTokers went ahead and just reserved tickets for themselves and never showed up. So they had to plan for this huge overflow area, and in reality, they didn't fill half the room because bunch of the tickets went to TikTokers who were just trying to troll the president. So, that's probably why many of the Republicans don't like TikTok.